Hare Krishna. Ramandhava Kunja Vihari Gopijana Bhavani Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopijana Bhavani Yashodanandana Rajana Ranjana Yamunatira Manachari Yashodanandana Rajana Ranjana Yamunatira Manachari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Ganga Navaki Varadari Jai Radha So, Hare Krishna. We are going to talk about Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 1, Verse 12. Thank you for finding it on your phones because my screen isn't facing you. For those of you in the ashram. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Sutta Janasi Bhadram Te
Sutta Janisi Bhadram Te
Bhagavan Sattvatampati
Bhagavan Sattvatampati
Devakyam Vasudevasya
Devakyam Vasudevasya
Jato Yasya Chikirshaya
Jato Yasya Chikirshaya
Sutta Janasi Bhadram Te
Sutta Janasi Bhadram Te
Bhagavan Sattvatampati
Bhagavan Sattvatampati
Devakyam Vasudevasya
Devakyam Vasudevasya
Jato Yasya Chikirshaya
Jato Yasya Chikirshaya
Sutta
Sutta
O Sutta Goswami
O Sutta Goswami
Janasi
Janasi
you know
You know
Bhadram Te
Bhadram Te
all blessings upon you
All blessings upon you
Bhagavan
Bhagavan
the personality of Godhead
The personality of Godhead
Sattvatam
Sattvatam
of the pure devotees
The pure devotees
Patihi
Pati
the protector
The protector
Devakyam
The Devakyam
in the womb of Devaki
In the womb of Devaki
Vasudevasya
Vasudevasya
by Vasudev
Vasudeva
Jataha
Jata
born of Yasya
Yasya
for the purpose of
For the purpose of
Chikirshaya
Ikirshaya
by executing
Execute
Srila Prabhupada's translation and purport. All blessings upon you, O Sutta Goswami. You know for what purpose the personality of Godhead appeared in the womb of Devaki as the son of Vasudeva. Purport. Bhagavan means the Almighty God who is the controller of all opulence, power, fame, beauty, knowledge, and renunciation. He is the protector of his pure devotees. Although God is equally disposed to everyone, he is especially inclined to his devotees. Sat means the absolute truth, and persons who are servitors of the absolute truth are called sattvatas. And the personality of Godhead who protects such pure devotees is known as the protector of the sattvatas. Bhadramte, or blessings upon you, indicates the sage's anxiety to know the absolute truth from the speaker. Lord Sri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, appeared to Devaki, the wife of Vasudeva. Vasudeva is the symbol of the transcendental position wherein the appearance of the Supreme Lord takes place. Om Gyanatimrandasya Gnanjana Shalakaya Chakshurim Militam Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namo Vishnudaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Srinivadi Paschiddesh Tarine Vanchakalpa Trubhis Chakra Sindhavya Chapatitanam Bhavane Vaishnave Namo. So, how to become a sattvata? How to become someone who Krishna is very inclined to protect. We've got this very nice sort of advertisement in Prabhupada's purport for becoming a sattvata, becoming a servitor of the absolute truth. The advertisement is that Krishna protects those people, pure devotees. You see it over and over in Krishna's Leela. If you read Krishna book, it's like every new chapter he's saving someone new, right? From all kinds of things, from the elements, from demons, from themselves. Krishna is very inclined to take on a protector role with his devotees. So even though we can experience feelings of I'm protecting Krishna, by worshiping deities sometimes, or uh, other other various methods that kind of allow us that relationship with Krishna, and Krishna appreciates it. It just so happens that, he also is interested in protecting his devotees too. It's said in the Upadeshamrita, Nectar of Instruction, Srila Prabhupada's Nectar of Instruction, that of all the places in the whole universe, the spiritual world is best, right? That we can kind of understand, implicitly. And that's called Vaikuntha in this verse. And then he says, out of all the places in the spiritual world, Rupa Goswami is saying this, of all the places in the spiritual world, what's the best? Mathura Puri, the Vraj Mandal, basically the region where Krishna grew up and executed his childhood pastimes. So it's called Mathura in the verse, but basically it means the Vraj Mandala, the greater region of Vrindavan. And of course, within that mandala, the town of Vrindavan is even higher, because this is where Krishna was tending to the cows. This is where Krishna was relating with so many different family members. This is where so many intimate exchanges between Krishna and his devotees happen. And then um, above Vrindavan, it's Govardhan. Within Vrindavan, then there's Govardhan. Govardhan is even higher because Govardhan is the place where, well, is a manifestation of Krishna where he protects his devotees. He Krishna in his cowherd boy form lifts up Govardhan with just his pinky finger. Think about how much you can lift up with your pinky finger. This is not very heavy, right? This binder. I can't do it. So if anyone was wondering, I'm not God. But Krishna can lift up Govardhan, this manifestation of himself to protect the residents of the Vraj Mandal from all kinds of distresses caused by jealous and envious and nefarious demigods. In the case of the Govardhan Lila, it was Lord Indra. And of course, above Govardhan, then is Radhakund, which is a very special place where at Govardhan, where Radharani deposits her mercy in liquid water form by bathing at Radhakund. You are sure not to come back to this material universe. So, um, we can't really always be a Govardhan. We've got jobs. So we may think that it's very difficult for me to feel Krishna's shelter. It's very difficult for me to have that visceral experience that Krishna is protecting me. And that's true. It's hard. I was talking with some of my friends at senior devotees last week about this. How do I develop this consciousness that Krishna is my protector? Of course, one thing we can do is associate with devotees that believe that. It's like this osmosis process everyone understands, that if you just, go near, like it's kind of like the splash zone or something at, a water event, right? You know that just by going near the splash, naturally, yeah, there's not a bad chance that you're going to get splashed, right? Because the person who's making this devotional splash of worshiping Krishna, trusting Krishna, it's just infectious. It's just infectious. So we want to get splashed. We want to get infected with this quality that's described in the Nectar of Devotion, Avashya Rakshibe Krishna. Krishna will surely protect me, right? That's the consciousness that we're trying to develop in our devotional life. Uh, if we don't develop this Avashya Rakshive Krishna, then actually making advancement in Krishna consciousness is very hard because these very intimate relationships with God, they have this foundation of, I trust you. I'm just experiencing certain emotion right now, right? So, for example, there are, five primary rasas, but then there are many more secondary. rasas. There are more secondary rasas, relationships that you can have with God. So the primary rasas, primary relationships, neutrality, servitude, friendship, parenthood, and conjugal love are there. They're very familiar to most devotees, but yeah, then within those rasas, there are secondary relationships that can be kind of used to increase the flavor, spice up the relationship one has with Krishna. One of these is anger, you know, I mean, loving anger. So you might think, oh my gosh, someone's angry at God. No, 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 this can't be advanced. This is very kind of low level, not very impressive devotional service. But that's the thing. It's founded on this Avashya Rakshibe Krishna. Krishna will surely protect me. Krishna Eka Sharana. Krishna is my one shelter. Krishna is my only shelter. So if you have that, and then more deep devotional feeling is developed towards Krishna, what's the problem? This is just how, I mean, parents get mad at their children, you know, partners in marriage argue, right? Is it ever, is it, I shouldn't say ever, but certainly is not typically from the place of, oh, well, I just can't trust you anymore. I have no trust. I have no faith. That's not usually how it starts. Sometimes we argue because we care about someone. It's part of the relationship. So we're we're working on sheltering under Govardhan in our hearts, and part of that is yes, just associating with people who know that Krishna is their only shelter, and that is already a huge game changer. But also, we have to make some serious effort to cultivate Braj in our minds, to cultivate Govardhan in our minds, to actually hear, to hear about these places. I'm sorry to say that since we're in the first canto, you're not going to hear much about these places in morning class for, what was it, 40 years? Um, However, that's okay. Srila Prabhupada gave us Krishna book, you know? Krishna book is for everyone. Krishna book was, distributed all the time. What was the thing in Srila Prabhupada's time that if you missed Mangal Arti, then you had to your taxes, you had to distribute one Krishna book for every day you didn't go to Mangal Arti. Something like that. Don't quote me. But I heard a story from a senior devotee that said, yeah, roughly like what they were practicing at that time in the place that they were. That it was sort of like the local policy. So Krishna book is for everyone. You can read it. You know, the, the pastimes of Lord Krishna are open to everybody. And it's true, like Srila Prabhupada didn't finish translating the Bhagavatam, and he had some fair idea that he wasn't going to finish. So that's why of course, he entrusted, the end of that service to his disciples, which was very glorious. But also, he knew that he wanted to leave behind a summary study of the 10th canto because he wasn't going to be able to finish it. So he gave us Krishna book. So in Krishna book, which anyone can read, even children, there's all of these nectarian pastimes that one can listen to and really start to believe, not just say, but believe that Avashya Rakshibe Krishna, Krishna is my only shelter. Krishna will surely protect me. You have to hear the Leela. Like we're reading Chaitanya Bhagavat with Ashram Maharaj on Saturdays. All are welcome. And it's the same thing, you know. You just have to hear the Leela to develop a relationship. You have to know who the person is that you're talking about, and that then when you pray, you're talking to, right? Imagine if, I don't know, I guess probably this happened to people in generations past, but can you imagine, praying to a God that you only heard about like from letters or something? I mean, it just it doesn't sound practical. It's not practical. You have to get some visceral experience of God in your life before you can fully depend on God. Why? Because the mind is there. The mind is always going to be there. Um, and unfortunately, no matter how hard we try, doubts, they arise, right? It is healthy to have doubts in spiritual life. There's nothing wrong with having doubts in spiritual life. We have to ask questions. That's why we have mentors. You know, I I got my mentors on speed dial, like what the heck did I just read? This is this is very good. This is the way that we should all approach our reading. Get help if we need to. Um, but ultimately, no matter how much someone tells you theoretically that, this is the way that God is, you will not be able to fully experience God just from hearing. It's the first step. It is the first step, and that's good, but it's incomplete, right? We have 9 processes of devotional service. And although it's said that you can just committing yourself very rigidly to one process of devotional service is sufficient. In Kali Yuga, we just need every weapon, everything in our toolbox that we can get to make sure we go back to Godhead. So hearing is the first step, but there are 8 more steps. Who knows the next step?
After Shraddha,
After hearing,
after hearing,
after,
chanting.
yeah, chanting. Someone told me recently that preaching is a very potent service. So I was like, okay, mister, like you're a little like self-absorbed for saying that. This person is a preacher. It's a young preacher. And I was not very impressed initially when he said that. I was like, okay, you're like, thanks for telling me how potent you are. But actually, that Vaishnava was right. Preaching, spreading Krishna's glories is very purifying. It rapidly increases the rate at which you will solidify that connection. Because it's what Mahaprabhu has ordered us to do, to chant the glories of Lord Krishna. Both to chant his names in kirtan, but also to speak on the philosophy, speak on the nectar of the pastimes of Krishna. So Mahaprabhu and Gaura, they simply are ready to smile upon anyone who is sharing Krishna consciousness with others. Those who are, distributing prasadam, those who are, you know, speaking to newcomers about the philosophy. These are the people who get the direct mercy of Gaura. Actually, it's very esoteric, so sorry for being a little esoteric. But Sankirtan, meaning congregational chanting of Hare Krishna, is a very, very, very special activity, even to the people in the spiritual world who know Krishna all day. Because how do they how do they relate how do they relate to Krishna? The gopis, the cowherd maidens of Vrindavan, how do they relate to him? In separation, right? They relate to him in separation. So they're not, for most of the day, they're not like washing his feet or like waving incense in front of him, right? He's not there. What are they doing? Say a six letter word for what they're doing that starts with K.
Kirtan.
Kirtan. They're doing kirtan. Now, does that mean that they're like, sometimes it means actually that they have the kartals and mridanga out. That's actually sometimes what it means. But sometimes it just means they're talking about Krishna. This is what develops the relationship. The gopis do it too. It's not different. I was thinking about the song of the gopis from Canto 10, chapter 31. It's very famous. They the gopis, they sing this in the Bhagavatam. They all sing it together. It says Gopya Uchu, right? So they're all singing it together. And it shows really what kirtan means. This is kirtan. They say roughly in English, so famed is Vrindavan since you have appeared. The goddess of fortune herself resides here. We searched everywhere, yet you hide from our view. Dear Krishna, please come. Our lives hinge on you. So, longing, lalasamayi, right? Longing for God. This is the this is the mood of the residents of Vrindavan. This is the mood in which they perform kirtan every single day and with which they hear every single day. But still, there's always that undercurrent of Krishna will surely protect me. Even though they say all these things, right? So step one, we have to really become convinced. Avashya Rakshibe Krishna. Krishna will surely protect me. There's no doubt. And step two, kirtan. Start talking about him. Tell people about him. Sing a song about him. That's what Krishna likes. That's what endears us to Krishna. That's how to be a sattva, actually. Servant of the absolute truth. Because devotional service to Lord Krishna is higher than all these other, you know, caste verminical things, right? There's like all these like, oh, well, I was born in this family, and for the last 12 generations, like not a single person from another caste married into this family, so therefore I'm qualified to do some ritual. I mean, come on, give me a break. That has nothing to do with God. Even so, the Brahmins are very dear to Lord Krishna. Even though they treat him poorly sometimes in Vrindavan, there's plenty of leelas like that too. But he's partial to the Brahmins. So if you become a Sattvata, a real serious Vaishnava that hears, depends on, and then chants about the Lord, you become much higher, much more elevated than these people whose forefathers just never, never, never took a wife from another caste. Automatically a Brahmin, and much more, just by Krishna Kirtan. Yeah. So, and it actually makes sense. You know, Krishna is not a Brahmin. Krishna is, he's from, if there's four groups, if there's a um, you know, teaching class, government class, merchant and agriculture class, and laboring class, which class is Krishna from? What's his job? What does he do all day in Vrindavan?
You cowards?
Yeah, the agriculture. So he's a Vaishya. He's from a Vaishya family, Nanda Maharaj. And he's adopted into a Vaishya family. And so, Krishna is not sitting there all day, you know, building grand Vedic sacrifice fires, and throwing animals into the fire and then resurrecting them with some, you know, ecstatic mantras. He's not spending a second on that. So anyway, our position is just to worship him. Whatever position of life you're in, you just worship Krishna, hear Krishna's pastimes, develop firm faith in him. Nishta, steady faith. And then yeah, spread his glories, share his glories with others. This will make you among the ranks of his most confidential servants, the gopis and gopas and all the other residents of Vrindavan. These are the people who started Krishna Kirtan. Now it's our job to carry it on. Any thoughts? Something to add? How to perform Krishna Kirtan in the mood of the residents of Vrindavan? How to love Krishna like the residents of Vrindavan?
Well, I always think it's interesting that they're always. I'm just interested in the tattva of them always like singing Hare Krishna and
I don't think they're always singing Hare Krishna.
they're often singing Hare Krishna
Yeah,
or sometimes sing.
yeah, they
But
got all kinds of bhajans too.
yes, yes. But I guess sometimes if you're in love with someone, you're like saying their name all the time in all sorts of cute and funny and dramatic ways. And so that's what they're doing.
Yeah, the last time I thought I was in love with someone, people were like, "Will you just shut up?" Because that name kept coming up so often. So I definitely think that's fairly likely that, except no one in Vrindavan said "shut up" to the gopis because everyone loves Krishna in Vrindavan. But it is interesting. So much of what goes on in the spiritual world is miraculous. So when I went to Vrindavan, my one of my teachers, who we're actually going to be hearing from next Monday, sent me a blessing. She sent me a message that said, may you fully experience the moods and miracles of Krishna and his associates in Vrindavan." In other words, the pastimes, the activities of the residents of Raj are miraculous. They're very difficult for us to understand. It doesn't matter, they're still happening. And they're happening constantly too, like over and over. It's not like they just do that for a day. Yeah, it's every single day. They're just chanting about Krishna. It's really, it's cool. It's out there, but it's cool. We're fortunate actually because yeah, we we have the Bhagavatam. We can hear how the residents of Vrindavan, you know, acted. Just like 50 years ago, there was no English 10th canto. There was no accessibility for people in Los Angeles that didn't speak or didn't understand Bengali or Hindi or Sanskrit to hear about Krishna's pastimes. That just how incredible they are. Anyway, anything else? All right. Hare Krishna.